Hi everyone, my name is Leanna and this is week 2 video lab exercise, bacterial enumeration, dilutions, and plate counts. So what we're going to do is start the experiment. I've already assembled my test tubes with 10, 1 through 6. Already labeled. I have my alcohol with my bulbs filled there. We have my distilled water and my yeast. I also have my agar plates labeled and on the side for use. So what I'm going to do first is, let's do this. I'm going to expel, they've been sitting there for at least 20 seconds. I'm going to dispel all the alcohol that's in there and make sure it's dry. And I'm going to put 2.5 ml of distilled water. That's 1. That's 2.5. Okay, so now that they all have 2.5 mLs of distilled water, I'm going to swirl around my yeast solution and pipe in. So if you can see the label 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to pipe in 0.25 of the yeast into the first solution. And then I'm going to swirl it in my pipette to make sure that all of the yeast is in there. So what I'm going to do now, grab a new one. I'm going to transfer 0.5 ml into each tube, from each tube. So from 1, I'm going to put it into 2. And then swirl it around and take and place it into 2. And finally, into this. So now that we've transferred 0.5 ml to each one, we've now created a dilution. So we're going to then take another pipette and we're going to do 4 drops into each apgar and then swirl, that way it's on the surface. So I'm going to make sure I have the labels right. We have 10-1, 10-1. And then we're going to take some of the solution and put 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're just going to swirl it around to make sure it coats evenly. And because this is liquid and not using like an inoculation loop, what I'm going to do is for 1 hour, store it with the apgar side down and then flip it. So then I'm grabbing apgar 2. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Swirl it around. Again, 3. Swirl it around. And 5. I have to be careful with 10-5 because it looks like a 2 from the bottom. 1, 2, 4. And then finally, my 6. Alright, so now that I have these culture apgars ready for growth, I'm going to stick them in my culture cabinet, let them there for at least 24 hours and check on them, and then again at 48 hours. Hi everyone. Just making sure I'm recording. Hi everyone, my name is Leanna, and this is a follow-up to week 2's lab exercise, bacterial enumeration, dilution, and plate counts. So I'm going to show you my findings now. These are my 6 cultures in apgar plating of 1 through 5 here. And as you can see, it was actually pretty successful in all of them. So here on 10-1, I kind of estimated that the plate count would be too numerous to count, and that's exactly what happened. The colonies have like overgrown, you can see, the colonies have overgrown and overlapped each other. It's impossible to differentiate the different ones. But you can definitely see where like my solution of yeast flowed on the apgar plates. Like here is missing, probably didn't flow there. We have S10, which is pretty much, I mean, it's very similar, but some of the colonies you're able to, like, there's a little bit of isolation here, and probably here where you can kind of definitely tell the different colonies. What was surprising to me, too, is it looks like 3. I mean, varies. It did definitely, the dilution worked, but I think in this case, since it was so spread out, the single colonies did isolate a lot better in 3 than it did in 2. I want to say, if you can tell the difference. Here is plate group 4, where you can definitely tell the isolations that have happened. We have the larger part here, and then definitely the isolation happening of these colonies. What was also surprising too is 5 is they had very minimal growth. I mean, you can tell some growth in isolation, but it's very slow growing, which is surprising because here is 6, which is the final dilution, which had the most isolation and the less culture growth. So I'm gonna definitely do a write-up on this. But thank you for being here.